Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins History, where every coin tells a story and even the smallest piece of change could be your ticket to fortune. Today's video explores an incredible and surprising treasure hiding in plain sight, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1981 with mint marks. This tiny copper coin might seem ordinary at first glance, but for collectors, it marks one of the most exciting discoveries in modern numismatics. Whether you're a casual saver with jars full of pennies or an experienced treasure hunter searching through rolls from the bank, listen closely because by the end of this video you could be racing to check your change for one of these special coins now selling for unbelievable amounts of money. The year 1981 might not feel that long ago, but it marked a turning point in American coinage history. It was one of the final years the Lincoln penny was struck primarily from copper before the mint shifted to a zinc core with a copper coating in 1982 due to rising metal prices. That small change transformed the penny forever, making the 1981 issue one of the last true copper cent coins the United States produced. The 1981 Lincoln penny was struck at three mints: the Philadelphia Mint, with no mint mark, the Denver Mint marked by the bold letter D, and the San Francisco Mint using the elegant S mainly for proof coins. Even though millions of these pennies were produced for circulation, the number of coins that survived the decades in top uncirculated condition is unbelievably small, and that's what makes this penny such a valuable discovery. Turn the coin over in your fingers and you'll find a rich portrait of Abraham Lincoln staring back at you. His image has graced the 1-cent coin since 1909, but by 1981 the detail in his cheekbones, hair, and jacket was perfectly sharp and beautifully engraved. The words "In God We Trust" curve proudly over his head, while Liberty sits to the left and the year 1981 rests beside his shoulder. These tiny details are critical because collectors look for crisp, clean surfaces without scratches or discoloration. Flip the coin to the reverse and you are greeted by the powerful Lincoln Memorial, framed by United States of America and 1 cent. Right between the base of the memorial and the phrase "E pluribus unum" might be the tiny mint mark that holds the secret to your penny's worth. Whether it shows the D of Denver, the S from San Francisco, or carries no mint mark at all, each letter plays a massive role in your coin's desirability and potential fortune. Next, let's talk condition. Most 1981 pennies were used heavily in everyday life, passed from registers to pockets, thrown into drawers, and eventually stored in giant jars. Over time they picked up scratches, discoloration, and nicks. But a rare few were never spent. These are the coins that shine like they did the day they were struck, rich in copper color, crisp in detail, and glowing with their original mint luster. Finding one of these uncirculated beauties is like striking gold, especially if the surfaces show no fading or dark spots. Coin grading services like PCGS and NGC grade these pennies from a low circulated condition all the way up to MS67 or MS68 if they are flawless. The higher the grade, the higher the value, and in some cases, prices explode at auction. But the excitement doesn't stop there. Collectors also go wild for minting errors. Imagine discovering a penny struck off-center, with doubled lettering in the word Liberty or the date, or even one made using the wrong metal planchet. These quirky mistakes transform the coin into a rare one-of-a-kind piece. Some 1981 pennies show strong doubling in the date and inscriptions, creating a ghost-like shadow effect that immediately catches a collector's eye. These double die error pennies are highly sought after. There are also repunched mint marks, die cracks running across Lincoln's portrait, and clipped or elliptical planchets that give the coin a dramatically unusual shape. These errors are like fingerprints, unique, rare, and highly valuable. Now that you know what to look for, how can you determine if your 1981 penny is special? Start with a bright light and a magnifying glass. Study Lincoln's face. Are the lines sharp? Is the texture of his hair intact? And does the metal still shine with copper brilliance? Flip to the back and examine the columns of the Lincoln Memorial. Are they all fully detailed and undisturbed by wear? Then check the mint mark carefully. If your coin looks uncirculated, consider sending it to a grading service for authentication and certification. Once your penny comes back with a top grade, you could be sitting on a coin worth far more than you ever expected. Collectors and investors hunt high and low for top-grade copper pennies from the early 1980s, because as time passes, fewer and fewer survive in perfect condition. The value of copper pennies has been rising step by step for years, and the 1981 Lincoln penny has become one of the hottest coins in the spotlight right now. Coin auctions have seen unbelievable prices for perfect examples, sometimes turning loose change into a windfall. So don't walk past a penny on the street and never throw your pennies into a donation jar without a quick inspection. You might be giving away a fortune without realizing it. The next time you go to cash in your spare change, sort through those pennies carefully, because one lucky find could change your life, your hobby, or even your financial future. The joy of coin collecting is that history might be hiding in your own pocket. All you have to do is look closely. Today's video is going to keep you on the edge of your seat, because we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating pennies ever produced by the United States Mint, the 1967 Lincoln 1-cent coin. Most people see a penny and think it's worth almost nothing, but once you learn about the rare versions, error coins, and pristine mint condition examples from 1967, you may never look at spare change the same way again. By the end of this video, you'll be reaching for every penny you can find, searching for a version of this coin that collectors are now paying extraordinary sums of money to acquire. The late 1960s were a time of tremendous change in America. Civil rights movements were surging, the Vietnam War was raging, and the space race was pushing technological boundaries. During this historic era, millions of Lincoln pennies were minted, including in 1967. What makes this year so intriguing is that it was part of a short period when the United States Mint temporarily removed mint marks from all coins in an effort to discourage rampant coin collecting that was disrupting circulation. So no matter whether the coin was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, it carried no mint mark. This decision created an unusual situation for modern collectors. Without the usual mint mark to distinguish varieties, rarity is instead determined by strike quality, mint luster, and of course, rare minting errors that have become some of the most exciting finds of all time. Turn the tiny copper coin over in your hand, and you'll immediately recognize the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, the beloved American president whose leadership preserved the Union. In 1967, the obverse design features sharp lines in Lincoln's hair, fine detail in his coat, and clean contours of his face, all indicators of a strong strike. The inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," along with the date 1967, surround his portrait. Flip the coin to the reverse side and you'll see the iconic Lincoln Memorial, the symbol of honor, unity, and endurance. Between the base of the building and the words 1 cent is the spot where a mint mark might normally appear, but because of the special minting rules that year, it doesn't exist. Powerful details on the building, especially the number of visible columns and sharp steps, are critical to collectors. The more detail and shine you see, the more likely the coin was preserved instead of being worn away in circulation. Now the true excitement begins. Even though millions of 1967 pennies were made, most went straight into circulation and were heavily used for decades, clinking around in pockets, rubbing against keys, and bouncing in jars. What collectors crave are those magical coins that somehow escaped circulation entirely, still glowing with their mint luster and crisp features. If your 1967 penny shows no signs of wear, retaining its shiny surface and sharp edges, you might be holding something extraordinary. These rare uncirculated examples are graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC. Grades like MS65, MS66, and especially MS67 command eye-watering prices because they prove the coin has survived the last 50+ years in a virtually perfect state. But wait, there's more. Perhaps even more thrilling than high-grade condition are the rare mint errors that occurred during the striking process. Collectors go crazy for coins that show doubled lettering. Imagine seeing two ghosted versions of the words or numbers, especially in the date or the words 1 cent. These double die varieties are sensational finds. Then you have clipped planchets, where a piece of the coin is actually missing due to a mistake during production, or off-center strikes where Lincoln's head or the memorial is shifted dramatically to one side, creating a bizarre but valuable visual. These errors are unique time capsules, capturing a frozen moment when something went wonderfully wrong at the mint. Because no two errors are identical, their value is often even greater than perfectly struck coins. If you want to know whether your 1967 penny is worth checking, grab a magnifying glass and strong lighting. Inspect Lincoln's hair, jawline, and coat. Are the lines bold and clean? Look at the high points on his face. If they show no flattening, you may have a gem. Flip the coin and examine the memorial. Count the columns, look for crisp steps, and search for any unusual doubling or design flaws. A coin that still glows with that fiery copper shine is one to take seriously. If your penny looks promising, it's well worth submitting to a coin grading service. Once it receives an official high grade, collectors may compete fiercely for a chance to own a piece of 1967 history in its finest form. As more people begin to understand the historical significance and scarcity of top-quality 1967 Lincoln cents, prices are rising rapidly. Auctions have witnessed bidding wars as these coins break previous sale records. This surge in demand means right now is the perfect time to hunt through your coin jars, inherited penny collections, bank rolls, and even dusty boxes tucked away in attics or basements. Hidden among what appears to be ordinary copper could be a penny worth far more than you ever imagined. The thrill of discovery, the rush of spotting something rare, and the chance to own a valuable piece of American history is what makes coin collecting such a magical adventure. Today we're embarking on a thrilling journey into the world of the United States 1-cent Lincoln penny from the year 1979. A coin that most people overlook every single day but collectors are desperately searching for because certain rare examples with mint marks and dazzling condition are selling for absolutely jaw-dropping amounts of money. If you've ever found yourself staring at a handful of change and wondering whether one of those copper pieces might just be the key to a fortune, then stay glued to this video, because as we unfold the history, varieties, errors, and secrets of this coin, you'll understand why this simple penny has become one of the most exciting hidden treasures in the coin collecting world today. The late 1970s marked a unique time in American history. The country was recovering from recession, pop culture was exploding with disco and early video games, and everyday Americans were unknowingly handling coins that would someday become money-making legends. The 1979 Lincoln penny was minted in 3 primary locations: Philadelphia, which used no mint mark, Denver, which proudly stamped a bold letter D just under the year, and San Francisco, which struck brilliant proof coins marked with the elegant S. Each little letter changed everything, because while millions were made, only a very small number of coins have survived in superb uncirculated condition. Those are the coins that collectors hunt tirelessly for, driving prices higher and higher as each year passes. Let's admire the beauty behind this iconic design. On the obverse, you'll find the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a calm, noble expression captured in incredible detail by engraver Victor David Brenner. The lettering of "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" curves gracefully around his profile, while the tiny date 1979 marks the coin's birth year. Flip it over, and you're greeted by the magnificent Lincoln Memorial, columns, steps, and shadows carefully carved into copper. If you look closely, you might even spot the faint outline of Lincoln's seated statue between the pillars, a subtle mark of artistry many people never notice. It's right beneath that memorial where you'll find your crucial mint mark. Whether it's a D, an S, or left blank for Philadelphia, this small letter could mean the difference between pocket change and astonishing wealth. Millions of these pennies entered circulation, and most of them were spent countless times over the years. They slid across countertops, rattled around in pants pockets, were tossed into piggy banks, and even forgotten in junk drawers. These stories of everyday life wore the copper down, edges softened, surfaces scratched, and that original fiery shine slowly faded away. But somewhere out there are a handful of 1979 pennies that never entered circulation. They were set aside fresh from the mint, sealed away in coin rolls, proof sets, or collections, perfectly preserved like time capsules. These beautiful survivors gleam with original luster, show razor-sharp details, and possess strong bold mint marks, making them incredibly desirable. Coins graded highly by professional services such as PCGS or NGC, especially in MS66 or MS67, are now commanding mind-blowing prices at auction, drawing attention from serious collectors across the globe. Even more exciting are the rare minting errors that occasionally slipped through unnoticed back in 1979. Imagine discovering a penny where the date or letters appear twice due to a double die error. These doubled designs have become legendary finds. Some show ghost-like outlines in Liberty, others have strong doubling in the date or the word 1 cent. Then there are dramatic off-center strikes where parts of Lincoln's face or the memorial are shifted dramatically, clipped planchets where pieces of the coin are literally missing, or die cracks that travel like lightning bolts across the surface. These kinds of mistakes are incredibly valuable because each one is unique and irreplaceable. While most people think errors make things worthless, in numismatics, they can make a coin far more prized than a perfect strike. So how do you know if your 1979 Lincoln penny might be worth a fortune? First, examine the condition. Use a magnifying glass and look at Lincoln's hair, cheek, and jacket. Sharp lines and a bright copper glow mean the coin might be uncirculated. Then flip it over and count the steps on the memorial. If the details are crisp and complete, collectors refer to it as full step, and that instantly increases value. Next, find the mint mark. Coins stamped with a strong D from Denver or an S from San Francisco proof sets are usually valued more highly due to scarcity. If the coin looks beautiful and untouched, consider sending it to be graded. A professional grade in the top range turns curiosity into serious cash. And don't forget to look closely for abnormalities. Mint errors like doubling, cracks, clips, and off-center strikes must be inspected carefully. If you spot anything unusual, you could be holding one of the rarest types known to exist. Interest in late 1970s Lincoln pennies is exploding right now as collectors race to secure the finest examples while they are still somewhat affordable. With every passing year, pristine coins become harder to find and more expensive. Auctions frequently see bidding wars for top-grade versions, especially those with vibrant copper color, beautiful strike, and eye-catching errors. That's why right now is the perfect moment to sort through your loose pennies, old coin boxes, forgotten jars in closets, bags stored away inside safes, or collections handed down by parents and grandparents. Under all that ordinary copper, a once-in-lifetime coin might be hiding, waiting to change your luck forever. Today, we're turning the spotlight on one of the most exciting coins in American numismatics, the United States 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1961, complete with mint marks and packed with surprises that could turn an ordinary-looking coin into a jaw-dropping windfall. If you've ever wondered whether that old penny you've kept for years might actually be worth a small fortune, stay glued to this video, because by the time we're done exploring this historic coin's design details, mint mark mysteries, error varieties, and collector demand, you'll be scrambling to check every last coin in your collection. Let's dive back into American history. The year 1961 was a remarkable time. John F. Kennedy had just become president, America was locked in the early stages of the space race, and the country was charging forward with innovation and spirit. During this powerful period, the United States Mint produced millions of Lincoln pennies at 3 locations: Philadelphia, which at that time carried no mint mark; Denver, which used the bold letter D; and San Francisco, proudly identified with the elegant S. While most of these pennies were used for everyday purchases, from candy bars to gasoline, a tiny number escaped circulation entirely and survived the decades in pristine uncirculated condition. These rare survivors are exactly what collectors and investors are paying a fortune to obtain today. Let's take a closer look at the beautiful artwork on this coin. On the obverse, a powerful and dignified portrait of Abraham Lincoln stares outward, the 16th President of the United States, honored for preserving the Union and ending slavery. Around him, the words "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the coveted date 1961 are sharply struck, standing tall above the warm red-brown copper surface. When you flip the coin over, you're greeted by the striking Lincoln Memorial, a majestic symbol of courage and honor. Every line of the columns, steps, and statue inside carries artistic precision. Between the base of that monument and the words 1 cent lies the secret mint mark, a tiny D or S, or sometimes nothing at all. That little letter could be the difference between an ordinary penny and a coin destined to break auction records, but here's where it gets truly thrilling. Even though millions were minted, very, very few exist in brilliant mint state condition today. Most 1961 pennies spent decades passing hands, getting scratched, losing their shine, and slowly wearing down with time. Only a rare handful stayed crisp, bright, and lustrous, free from blemishes, still showing razor-sharp detail in Lincoln's hair and the tiny columns of the memorial. These top-tier coins, graded MS-65 and above by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC, are skyrocketing in value. But there's more. Error coins from 1961 are among the most popular among collectors. Double die obverse pennies, where wording like Liberty or the date appears twice due to a minting mistake, are considered sensational finds. Off-center strikes that leave part of the design pushed toward the edge, or clipped planchets where a chunk of the coin is actually missing, are also hugely valuable because each one is unique, making them true one-of-a-kind treasures. How do you know if your penny is worth serious money? Start by examining the surface. An uncirculated 1961 penny will shimmer with fiery copper brilliance like the day it was struck. Look closely at Lincoln's cheekbones, jawline, and coat. Sharp lines mean the coin hasn't worn down. Flip it over and examine those steps on the memorial. Collectors go crazy for coins where every single step is visible, known as full steps. Next, check that mint mark. Coins from the Denver or San Francisco mint are often more desirable, especially if the mint mark itself shows signs of being repunched, which is another collectible variety. Grab a magnifying glass and look for strange duplicates in letters or numbers. Double dies can multiply your coin's value dramatically. If your coin looks promising, it's absolutely worth sending to a grading service for authentication and proper certification. Interest in these early 1960s Lincoln cents has exploded recently as collectors rush to secure the highest grade examples while they are still somewhat attainable. What used to be seen as worthless pocket change is now commanding staggering prices at auction houses, online marketplaces, and coin conventions. It's a wild reminder that history can hide in the smallest things, and fortune often smiles on those who are willing to look closely. That means now is the perfect time to dig through your piggy banks, your parents' old coin collections, dusty boxes of change, rolls from the bank, or jars tucked away in drawers. Because there's a real chance that amongst them sits a penny from 1961, waiting to reveal itself as a life-changing treasure. Today we are taking a closer look at one of the most surprising coins in American change, a coin that millions of people have handled without ever imagining it could be worth a fortune, the United States 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1973 with mint marks. This innocent-looking little copper coin has created a frenzy in the collector world, not only because it's tied to an unforgettable era in American history, but also because certain high-grade versions and incredible era varieties have been selling for mind-blowing amounts. Get comfortable, grab your coin jars, and watch carefully, because by the time we reach the end of this video, you might never look at a Lincoln penny the same way again. 1973 was a year bursting with headlines. The Vietnam War was winding down, massive anti-war demonstrations shook cities coast to coast, the Watergate scandal rocked politics, and American pop culture was exploding with music, film, and sports. In the background of these dramatic changes, the United States Mint quietly continued producing billions of coins, including the now famous 1973 Lincoln cent. These pennies were struck at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, which did not use a mint mark, Denver, which placed a bold letter D beneath the date, and San Francisco, where proof coins received a handsome S mint mark. Although these pennies were meant for everyday use, buying candy, newspapers, and gasoline, what makes the 1973 Lincoln cent truly fascinating is that only a tiny number of these coins have survived the past 5 decades in perfect, untouched condition. And it is exactly these rare survivors that have collectors bidding tens of thousands of dollars for the chance to own one. Let's take a closer look at the artistry behind this iconic coin. On the front is the classic image of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, his profile design held over since the very first Lincoln penny was issued in 1909. His thoughtful expression, finely detailed hair, and sharply engraved clothing folds were crafted by master engraver Victor David Brenner. Above him shines the motto "In God We Trust," to the left sits the proud word Liberty, and beside his shoulder is the magical date, 1973. Flip it over and the Lincoln Memorial leaps into view, all carved in stunning miniature, each column and step echoing the real monument standing proudly in Washington, D.C. It is beneath this building where you'll look for that tiny mint mark that tells the story of the coin's birthplace, no letter for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or the prized S for San Francisco. Each tiny detail becomes critically important when determining whether your penny is a 1-cent piece, or a once-in-a-lifetime find. Most 1973 Lincoln cents were used heavily, tossed in pockets, clinked in jars, scratched by keys, and eroded by time. These worn-out coins are worth little more than their face value. But a precious few escaped this rough journey and were kept in beautiful, uncirculated condition, retaining the fiery red copper glow seen only on coins fresh from the mint. These spectacular specimens, especially those with razor-sharp detail on Lincoln's portrait and the tiny stairs of the Lincoln Memorial, are graded at levels such as MS-66 or MS-67 by professional services like PCGS and NGC. Coins with these lofty grades have sparked intense competition among collectors, driving their values into the stratosphere. Then come the even more thrilling versions, mint errors. Collectors cherish mint errors not as imperfections, but as remarkable one-of-a-kind creations caused by missteps during the production process. Imagine finding a penny where the lettering or the date is doubled due to a double die, or where Lincoln's face is shifted dramatically due to an off-center strike. Picture discovering a coin missing a chunk of metal due to a clipped planchet, or one with mysterious cracks, ghost-like images, or repunched mint marks. Each type of error tells a story about its chaotic second inside the coin press, and each type is highly valuable because no two errors are identical. Finding one of these rare 1973 Lincoln penny errors could quite literally change your life. So how can you tell if your 1973 penny is valuable? Start with light and magnification. Look at Lincoln's cheek and jaw. Are the lines strong and crisp? Does the coin still glow with copper brilliance? Flip it over and examine the Lincoln Memorial. Are all the steps cleanly visible, with no smoothing or flattening? That's a sign of what collectors call a full steps strike, and it's extremely desirable. Next, inspect the mint mark with great care. Many prized pieces come from Denver and San Francisco, especially proof coins with extraordinary mirror-like surfaces from the San Francisco Mint. Finally, search for strange or doubled letters, unusual spacing, shape distortions, or missing metal. All of these could be clues to an error coin worth far more than a normal example. If your penny looks exceptional, it's wise to submit it to a professional grading service, because an official high grade adds massive credibility and value on the collector market. Demand for pristine and rare 1973 Lincoln pennies is exploding today. As more collectors focus on modern copper cents, auction prices continue to climb, and the supply of untouched high-grade coins is slowly disappearing into private collections. That is exactly why now is the perfect time to dig through your coin stash, examine every Lincoln penny carefully, and perhaps even start hunting through bank rolls or inherited jars of old coins from family members. What appears to be just a simple penny could turn out to be one of the rarest and most valuable coins minted in recent American history. It's the thrill of finding treasure, the excitement of holding history, and the possibility of stumbling onto something that could change your fortunes overnight, all wrapped up in a single copper coin. And now for the moment you've been waiting for. If you are lucky enough to discover a 1973 Lincoln 1-cent penny with the right mint mark in breathtaking uncirculated condition, it could be worth an astonishing $86,000.